Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. My classmate could pronounce French words, so he played a tourist. In my final year of high school, I decided to remake French out of boredom and curiosity. In that class, I had a classmate who was very hardworking but could not for the life of him remember how to pronounce the words. A quick note, this isn't so much malicious compliance as it was working the system, but I thought it was cut and wanted to share it with you all. Spelling, no problem. Grammar, he would laugh at it and act like it was child's play. But speaking it, he would butcher the words more than an idiot believing Spanish is just English words you add O at the end to. For example, the French word for boy, garçon, he would say garçon. Unfortunately for him, part of our grade was made up of speaking exercises we would have to write and act out before the class. This stressed him a lot as it could affect his grade a lot and he wasn't sure what to do. Then an idea came to him, and since we were all in the same group and I knew he was a hard worker, I told him we'd do it. So the day came when we had to present our skit to the class and we set up. We were doing a restaurant chapter, so we acted as if I was a French girl meeting her American friend who was visiting. The moment he started speaking in French to our waiter, the class burst out laughing. We pretty much played it as a comedy, as if he was supposed to say things wrong the whole time, and I would just have to say, "I'm sorry, he's American," as if it was the answer to everything. Our French teacher wasn't completely happy about it, though she was laughing a lot when he on purpose ordered a poison dish instead of a fish dish, and we just acted horrified. He got a B for it and was told it was a one-time deal. He never got higher than a C on the verbal tests, but she did give him a lot of leeway because he was trying his hardest. While I don't know what he's doing now, he did pass the class with a B+, and he was only taking the class to meet the 2 years second language that was required to graduation. I worked for local government, in the printing department. Over the years, we caught many mistakes before jobs went to press. Our customers were usually extremely grateful, as we saved money from their budgets and sometimes spared them the embarrassment too. So when we were told to print a very high profile document, from the chief executive, for every householder in the borough, I gave it a quick once over. Lucky I did, because there was a bad spelling error on the front page headline. If published, the press would likely have a field day. It came to us via the communications team, so I called the comms officer responsible and was expecting her to be grateful. On the contrary, she interrupted me before I could even tell her what the mistake was, and haughtily declared that the document had been double, triple, quadruple checked, even checked by the chief executive himself, and that I, presumably because I was a lowly print officer, must be mistaken. Yes, I was angry, and I was sorely tempted to let the job run, unaltered, but I figured that the comms officer wouldn't be the one getting in trouble. It would be whoever signed off for the final proof, probably in the chief exec's office. And as the print unit, the public would assume it was our fault. No way, not having that. So I fired a quick email. "Hi Karen, regarding our conversation earlier today, I called you to let you know that there's an error in the headline of the hugely important document, but you assured me that I must be mistaken. Just to confirm that we'll begin printing regardless, as per your instructions. Regards, Michael Gravy." Funnily enough, we received a very hasty call asking us to put the job on hold. Does this guy mention what the mistake was? Because I'm really curious as to what it was, but I don't think he says it anywhere. Teacher forgets about me, gets torn a new one by my mum. So me and my classmates went on a field trip to a science museum about 1 year ago, and I, being a curious little kid, asked a lot of questions. My teachers kept getting more and more short-tempered with me until finally one of them snapped and tells me to, and I quote, "sit down and shut up." So I sat down and waited to be allowed up. After 30 minutes, a worker walked by and asked me what I was doing there. Where are my parents? And the sort. She calls the school after finding out I was on the field trip. My teacher comes in, drags me to her car and takes me home. There, she tells my mum how stupid and terrible I was. I finally broke down crying and yelled that I was told to sit down and shut up and no one came to get me, and the teacher says it was just common sense. At this, my mum's face turns tomato red and she flips out on the teacher for not being responsible and blaming students for her stupidity, and told her if I didn't get an apology, it would be brought up with the principal. And the teacher just ran out, red-faced. P.S. I got that apology. Isn't the point of being a teacher to answer the students' questions, not to tell them to shut up when they ask you something? I don't know, but you know. Need to prove that you're the alpha of the group? Might want to rethink what you're about to do. This story was told by my manager, but it's just too good not to share here. I work in a steakhouse that is fairly popular, and every now and then we host a bigger barbecue experience dinner for around 25 people at a time. It was a fairly ordinary Friday night, and we had a reservation for a corporate dinner. Everything had gone quite smoothly, and people were generally happy. When my manager went to take the food order, the presumably head honcho of the group, senior manager or something, pulled him aside at the table and requested that he would be served 2 all-you-can-eat spare ribs. I guess you're already catching on to what this guy isn't yet. My manager at first started convincing him back that they are all-you-can-eat spare ribs. There's no need to order 2. Well, the guy, even after hearing his co-workers chime in with, "There's really no need," he still pushed onwards, trying to prove that he's the alpha of the group. He didn't care that there's no need, he can eat both of them. He just needs 2. Absolutely. If you insist. Well, that's what he got. He finished one rack, didn't even start the other, didn't order extra ribs, paid for both. The rest of the guys apparently looked very smug the rest of the evening, as my manager told me later. To be fair, sometimes I do get really hungry that I need 2 theoretically infinite quantities of ribs. Like, just when you're really, really hungry. Want any beer? Sure. I work in a pub, which has about 30 taps of beer. Sometimes people come in just asking for a beer. I always ask if there's anything in particular they are looking for, so they can get something they would enjoy. I usually have a default beer if there are tourists or just want a standard beer. However, the place I work at used to have a very, very sour red ale, White Rabbit Red Ale. We were told that if anyone ordered it, we would ask if they had had it before and give them a taste of it. Most of the customers that asked for just a beer would get the standard beer, but there was a few customers yelling, "I just want a beer, is that so hard?" Sure. Needless to say, no one enjoyed that beer. Most of them brought it back claiming it was off and didn't taste right. That was the reason we let them taste it before buying it usually. No one could really say anything because they asked for a beer and they got a beer. You're mad we didn't do it in January? Let me backdate for you. I work phone service for an auto insurance company. A woman just called in, mad because she didn't see her discount for taking her mother off the policy from back in January. I did the research, and sure enough, Mum got her own policy, and we never updated her status on this one. Customer was so insistent that I corrected the error that I did so, effective the date the other policy was bound. When I came back from hold, I told her I'd corrected our error. She fairly crowed with delight that we'd messed up and she'd been right. Her righteous tone ended abruptly when I told her the backdated increased billing. If you'd just been quiet about it, you'd have saved money. The last agent probably broke protocol and left Mum active because it would have meant an increase. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. No phone, no work. My dad's co-worker is an older, simple man that doesn't have any social media and only uses his phone for calls/text and emails. This was around the time that the iPhone 5 was the newest thing. My dad's co-worker's job requires him to walk around 2 large factories, meaning he wasn't at his desk very often. So, the best way to contact him was to call/text him. For many years, he used his personal phone, which he paid for, and paid for each month's bill. One day, the phone decided to die and become unusable. He then went to HR to ask if they could buy him a replacement since he only used it for work. HR refused and told him it wasn't their responsibility. He then proceeded to simply go on without a phone. This meant that the only way to contact him was to hunt him down, that emails wouldn't be read and answered later, and any information he would bring back would be delayed due to the walk, causing other workers to wait to proceed with work. Within 2 weeks, HR had so many complaints from the other workers that they called him in. They told him he had to be at his desk to answer calls and to learn to properly communicate. My dad's co-worker argued that a good 60% of his job required him to be away from his desk, and it was simply impossible for him to stay at his desk. 2 more months pass without him having a phone. Then, one night, he got a call, on his landline, from his boss's wife. She said that she would buy him a phone out of her own pocket because her husband, his boss, kept coming home angry and annoyed about the worker that never had his phone on him. In the end, he got a brand new iPhone 5, fully paid for by the company. Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you did and you're not already subscribed, please do consider doing so that you never miss out on another video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out some of the playlists I made on the channel. But thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.